Welcome back, everybody, to Life in HD, episode 6, I believe now, with Hilario and David, and Tyler, as usual.
What's up?
We've got the usual squad today. We also have Tyler's beautiful girlfriend with us tonight, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Tonight, we're going to be covering some good stuff. Since we have Sarah with us, we're going to be covering abortion, because we love those controversial topics, and it's good to have a woman's opinion.
Token female.
Yep. And we're going to be talking about our vacations this Friday. All four of us are going on vacation. Hilario and I are going to Vegas. Tyler and Sarah are going to Tennessee. So we're all going to be having some fun this weekend. You can look forward to that on the next podcast when we talk about all that. And yeah, where do we want to get started today?
Well, I want to start by clarifying a couple things from last week's podcast. If you haven't listened to it, go to our page and listen to it. Let us know what you think. So we figured out that Charlotte is in North Carolina.
Charlotte is in North Carolina.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to come across as an idiot, but I was thinking of Charlottesville. That is in South Carolina. And that I'm just confused with Charlotte and Charlottesville.
Have you been in Charlottesville?
Since last
Believe it or
podcast?
not, I actually have. I
Oh.
fucked that up on the last podcast. I've been to Hilton Head a handful of times, and I've been to...
Handful of times.
and
Wow.
I've been to Charlottesville.
A whole handful?
Or not Charlottesville. Charleston. I've been to Charleston before.
But not Charlottesville.
No, I've never been there before.
Okay.
I've been in North Carolina. I've passed through it. I've never actually been in North Carolina.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to clarify was a comment that Jake made. Oh, Jake's not with us this podcast, but he'll be
Right.
back probably in a week or so. He said that we pretty much have communist taxes because we cannot opt out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, if you think about it, we could, quote unquote, opt out of them, or they're not imposed on us because we have representatives that decide how much and what to tax. So essentially, it's not communism because we have representatives that are representing us. So it can't be. I mean, it's like the same thing. They're just getting around.
No, I completely agree with that. I'd never agreed with it that there are communist attributes and ideologies in our system.
Right.
But how would you opt out of it? How is that?
You ignore them.
You just don't pay your taxes?
You just don't pay your taxes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
you
felony.
go out and live in the hills of Tennessee, which actually some people live out in the mountains, and they're just like off the grid. So those people you can't really tax because, I mean, I don't think they're making money or they're contribute to society. So I guess that's a way to protest and not pay into the system. But essentially, I mean, it's not considered communist ideas or ideals here in the U.S. because we have representatives. That's just something that I kept thinking about. I was like, I guess that makes sense, but like, no, not quite.
I mean, you can kind of get both sides from it. It's not the same ideology, but almost kind of the same outcome with two
Right.
different paths.
Exactly.
To get
Yeah,
there.
it's like a way to get around it
Exactly.
with capitalism. But I think, I mean, it works out better. I also said that communism is not really working in Russia, which is also wrong. It has been working for them. Is it the best model? They have an idea. We have an idea. So that's just another thing. Just listening back to the podcast from last week, I kept thinking about it. I was like, all right, we'll just clarify that. We don't want to misinform anybody or make you guys think that we're idiots.
I think the more term used nowadays is democratic socialist instead of communism, correct?
Yeah. Because honestly, true communism doesn't have a leader. Communism is the idea that the people provide for the people, and socialism is what Russia really is. They're a socialist nation. They're not a communist nation. I read an article once a few years ago that the closest thing to a true communism that's ever existed was basically the Native Americans, because they had a chief, but apart from that, everybody went out and did their thing, and everybody provided for the tribe together. They still technically had a figurehead as a chief, but that's about as close as you can get to true communism. And it was all extremely simple stuff. The men hunted, the women gathered, took care of the kids, all that kind of stuff. Everyone had a role that they filled, and everyone did it for the necessity of the whole. So it works great in that instance, but in modern times when you've got people flipping burgers and you've got people building multi-billion-dollar corporations, it doesn't function.
The contributions aren't the same.
Yeah, the contributions aren't the same, and not to mention in this day and age, there's pay. Like, people expect compensation for what they do. You know, people who work harder naturally make more money. That's just how it works. True communism cannot stand on its own. Even Russia has capitalist ideas in their things. They borrow from each other. And I'm not saying everything communism and socialism stands for is bad. It's just two different ways to...
Well, again, I don't know enough, I guess, to really rebuke what you're saying. But I know Russia and China consider themselves communist. And there are socialist countries in the world. Denmark, which is, I mean, they're not huge on anything trade-wise or whatever, but they have free healthcare, free school, free whatever, and they're always ranked like number one in happiness on their citizens because they don't really worry about going out and trying to work extra overtime to get those vacation days or be able to pay for a vacation, because for the most part it's provided by the government. They get like 3 months paid vacation, and that's like in their laws. So they're very happy and they're very laid back because they don't have to, worry about paying for it. But then again, they don't take as much money home either.
And I think I read somewhere that their average work week is like a 32-hour week too.
Yeah, it's
like our 40-hour is their 32.
Right. So I mean, you can take it all the way to Japan, where people literally die standing in the metro because they're overworked, or you can go to Denmark and just chill out and work a couple hours a day and go hang out, do whatever you want. And I mean, it's just like different ideals. But I think in the U.S., what we're doing is working for some people. But what do you guys think?
If it ain't broke, fix it till it is. That's the way the government works.
I guess.
As we stated on the first episode of this podcast, I hate the government. So
I saw a meme, a picture of a license plate that said, hate the government or something like that. It was on the license plate, and it was like, oh, that's funny that you went and paid them more money to show them that you hate them. It was like, oh, that's funny.
How could you really hate the government, though?
It's not so much that I hate the government. I hate how much they have their fingers in my business. It's like, I understand, yes, I need the government to exist. I need the government to... taxes are a necessary evil. I just don't particularly like how outspoken so many of them are, and how it's become so much more about re-election than actually making policy to help improve the lives of the citizens.
I do believe that we have one of the best governments on the planet right now, though. I'm not just talking Trump either. I'm talking even with Obama. We have the best government system in the world right now.
Oh, yeah. So I think on paper it works great. I just don't think in practice, when you put money into the politics, it kind of fails. I mean, George Washington, and I say fail as in fails the people, not so much like it falls in on itself. I don't think our government's weak. I just think our government leaves a lot to be desired, because I think they're more worried about padding their pockets than helping the American people.
Yeah, they're more worried about re-election. I agree with that. Like, they should be worried about serving the people that they're supposed to be representing instead of looking out for themselves. But I agree that the government now, like the system, I mean, it's supposed to be gridlock. That's why there's 3 co-equal branches of government. But like right now, what do you guys think about the Electoral College? Because I think that's the only thing that I would say needs to be updated.
Isn't that how Bush won? Like, didn't Al Gore beat him in the popular vote?
Yeah, and Trump.
Oh, okay.
So it's happened twice within the last 20 years.
I think it's very necessary. I think the ideology behind it is a very good thing to have, because you do need representation throughout the states where there is a less dense population from the state. But places like New York and California and Florida, pretty much their votes matter more than other states' votes just because of the big cities in their states. And I think the Electoral College does help give the representation to the mass majority of people that don't live in those big cities. But I think how it's set up now, it does kind of fluctuate, because how do you have the Electoral College vote in one person when you have the majority of the votes for the other person?
Right.
It works 90% of the time. But when it doesn't, then you start raising red flags for it.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about it is, like, even in California, let's take as an example, there's a lot of Republicans, but because they live in a Democratic state, their vote basically doesn't count.
Exactly.
Same thing here in Cincinnati. There's a lot of Democrats, but for the most part, it goes Republican most of the time.
Because of the way they draw the district lines, too. They're going to split Cincinnati
Gerrymandering.
Yeah.
Yeah, gerrymandering also seems like not a fair way. Like, when you take a step back and just look at it, not taking sides, but like, that seems kind of messed up. Whoever's in charge gets to draw all the lines and pretty much control
Yeah, exactly.
the election.
Well, we know we'll get this votes through
Right.
here, so let's draw the line right here to make sure that we lock in here. And I mean, it's a system.
They're very crafty.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing by now.
That's like David was saying. If it's not broken, they're gonna fix it until it is. I think not necessarily that it's broken, but there's always room for improvement. At least that's what I've thought. There's some people that believe like, oh, you shouldn't criticize the U.S. or your government at all because it's the greatest nation on earth. Sure, I mean I agree with that, but just because we're at a good spot doesn't mean that there's no room for improvement. And that's not saying that it sucks or anything like that. It's just it can improve. What do you think, Sarah? Being kind of quiet. Do you like? Do you go? Let me ask you this question. Do you go out and vote?
No.
No. Do you, Tyler?
Oh yeah, I vote.
Do you, David?
Unfortunately.
Again, I mean, you don't have to. It's not a thing.
I feel like I was gonna get bitched at by my parents and everybody if I didn't. So I was like, you know what? I've got time. Let me just go vote.
Like, this is one of the things I like from other countries. I know for a fact that in Mexico, like, you can vote for whoever you want. And, like, it's a thing that you're supposed to, like, in a way, keep quiet about who you're voting for. And that kind of, like, takes out a lot of confrontation.
Well, I think
know.
it takes away from a lot of debate too, because if you don't talk about, even after you cast your vote, yeah, it's done and over with. But if you don't talk about it before or even after, how are you going to debate anybody? How are you going to learn anything new? How are you going to adapt your ideologies?
Yeah, it's
If
a
it's
double-edged
okay.
sword.
I obviously voted for Donald Trump. If someone came up with that was voting for Hillary, if I never told them, they never told me, even though we had the idea, if we never talk about it, we can never meet in the middle ground. It's always just going to be two different sides.
It's so polarized right now, though, where I feel like we can sit here and talk about it, but I feel like if we went out on election day and try to talk to somebody about the opposite party, it would be an argument. Like, it would not
Instant.
get you anywhere. Yeah, it'd just be a mess. So why don't you go out and vote, Sarah?
Well, I've only had like 1 year, like one option
Oh,
to
okay.
vote, so like I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel
Exactly.
like my
Yeah.
vote like wouldn't matter.
See, and that's what I'm saying.
That's
Like,
why
that's how a lot of people
I don't
feel.
vote because I feel like it wouldn't matter.
Right. And, I mean, under this electoral college, depending on where you live, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it could maybe be improved. That seemed like it worked in the olden days, but I don't know.
I think it's a good system, but it's just being abused right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, has been abused. But the reason why I do make sure I go and vote every year is because even if it does go my way, my vote probably didn't make it go that way. But I don't want to not vote, it not go my way, and then me bitch. Because then
Right.
it's like, I have no room to complain. I can't bitch. I didn't go out and vote, so I don't have a say in it.
Yeah, exactly.
That might be one reason why I did vote too, because I always go back to if I didn't cast a vote, I don't have any right to complain.
Exactly.
Because it's like, well, I didn't make my public opinion heard, so what right do I have to complain about it? Like,
Right. And that's why you see a lot of, like, younger people going out and complaining and marching and doing this and that, but when it was time to go out and vote, they didn't. So it's like you're just being an idiot or hypocritical.
And that's just sheep, man. They
Yeah.
you go up and these people protesting, and I'm not saying all, but a good majority, if you go up and ask them actually about a policy or about why are you protesting, it's just shit that's fed from the media that's on both sides too.
Yeah, but that's
Republican
what it is
and
now.
Democrat.
I mean,
They're not
it's
doing
so
their own
toxic.
research.
yeah. You know what I think's funny? I accidentally started a complete mess at the dinner table one time because, for those who don't know, my family generally sits on the conservative side and my step family sits on the liberal side. And so I was just being facetious one night. I was just being a sarcastic asshole. And I was like, if you want to make a lot of noise and not get anything done, join a protest. And the comments that started coming out of everybody's mouths, I started a riot at the dinner table. And the funny part was I didn't even care. I was just like, I mean, whatever. But, you know, like, I genuinely feel like these protests half the time don't accomplish anything except make a bunch of young people look like idiots in the street
They just want to go out and scream.
and not accomplish anything.
Exactly. I mean, there was actually very good marches and protests that happened. I mean, not in our lifetimes, but right beforehand. You know, the civil rights movement, the women's movement, like everything like that. That was for something. They were fighting for something, and they accomplished that. Now it's just people going out there wanting to bitch, scream, cry, throw shit, burn shit just for the hell of it because they didn't get their way.
On both sides too. I feel like everyone's immature these days.
Oh yeah,
Like with politics. And
nobody
everything,
wants to actually sit down and talk about it and try to accomplish something. They just want either their way or you're wrong. There's no middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they say you're free to choose, but you're not free from your choices or the consequence of your choices. And I think that goes on to the media, like you were saying, and it's so toxic because people right now, they have an opinion and they're going to go watch whoever news anchor has the same opinion.
Exactly.
And they're going to, it's just like they live in a bubble. Like I don't have cable, so I like get a lot of my news from YouTube or online. But I mean, I go to like the conservative or Fox News basically and just see what they're saying, and then you go to the other side and just kind of like try to get the truth from the middle.
Yeah.
But it's like they're talking about completely different things, and they see things completely different. It can be the same issue, and they just have opposite arguments. It's just like who to trust.
See, back in the day, it wasn't like that. They would present you with the information,
Right.
present you with the facts from a non-biased standpoint, and let you decide your own opinions on it. Now they're just feeding you opinions.
That's what I was telling David one time. Like, I wish there was a news program where they would just like not giving me their opinion, just give me the facts. This is what this person said. This is when they said it, and whatever. But like, don't give me your opinion. Let me make my own opinion.
Absolutely.
But wishful thinking.
It is wishful thinking. Everyone has an opinion.
Let's start a news channel. The
I mean,
Unruly News Channel.
This is a little
Yeah.
what this is. I think
Unruly
we're just
News.
kind of like trying to digest. I mean, like this is like, of course you guys are younger than me, but like this is the new generation. I feel like that we're growing up seeing this mess, and like what are we gonna do once like the baby boomers start dying off?
Mm-hmm.
Like
And,
we're gonna be in charge.
What is it? Medicare completely crashes at that point.
Social Security is gonna crash. I mean,
Social
that's
That's
unsustainable.
what it is. Social
Yep.
Security.
And really quick for anybody listening to, go out and vote, even if you don't think your vote counts.
It doesn't.
I have a lot of friends. I know that's the exact same thing. It's like, if I go out and vote, like, it's not going to change a thing. And I'm like, you're probably right. But this is the age of data. And politicians, is no secret that they're trying to appeal to the vast majority of people. Who's the people that always go out and vote? Old people.
Mm-hmm.
So politicians are trying to be conservative, are trying to appeal to those people. But if they see that, like, oh, in Cincinnati, there was 5,000 23 and younger white males, or 5,000 blacks or Hispanics or whatever, they're going to know that we're there. So, they're going to have to include us in their thinking when they're trying to, run for office or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, if anything else, just be a number and show them that you're there. Are you going to change anything? Probably not. But
Unless it's for Hillary, don't go vote.
Well, now it's Bernie. He just announced his really.
Yeah, talk about communism and socialism. Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
again,
For those
some
of
of
us
the
who haven't
ideas.
figured out yet where we align on the political spectrum, I'm not a big fan of Bernie.
I liked some of his ideas. I do not agree with free college for everybody because it's not free.
No.
It's going to come out of somebody's pocket.
Everybody's pocket.
Let's play along and say that does happen. Everybody gets free college. Everybody has to go to college. Something like that, right?
Degrees are worthless.
Exactly. $15 minimum wage. Guess what's going to happen to everybody that has a college degree? They're going to be making as much as somebody, like David said, flipping burgers. Respect to everybody flipping burgers. I did that for 8 years myself. But it shouldn't be something that you do for the rest of your life.
And people don't realize what will happen if you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Everything you
inflation.
buy,
Yeah.
it will all inflate.
Yeah.
And then you will actually be making less money.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the exact statistics, but I saw a graph where you take the minimum wage now, and it was like a gallon of milk. And then you take the minimum wage at 15, and the gallon of milk prices, what they would be then. And you would actually be paying more on the dollar for the gallon of milk at
Right.
making 15 an hour.
The funny thing is, we don't even have to leave the country to see this in action. Look at California. The cost of living there is so much higher than it is here. They already raised their minimum wage. I forget the exact number, but I believe it's something like $14.50 or $15 an hour. A gallon of milk is a lot more expensive out there than it is here. And unless it's raised in the last couple of years, I think the minimum wage in Ohio is still $8.95.
Well, places like that
Is
are
it?
outliers because if you go to New York, yeah, New York is the exact same thing. Like, their minimum wage is really high compared to the national average, but the cost of living in New York, it's insane as well. So you have all these huge, massive companies that are very profitable, but if you want to have people living there that can man a Starbucks or a Wendy's or whatever, like they're not going to be able to afford it, so they have to, in a way, raise it. But that's just something that happens as the city or the state grows. I don't think it should be something mandated by the government.
And also, minimum wage is not a job for you to live on. It's a job based for high schoolers in high school looking for spending money. Even when I was in high school, I wasn't making minimum wage. I was making above minimum wage. Because you apply your skills, you work hard, you put in the hours, you will get the raises. You will have enough to not live great, but live at least day to day. To where you're not making the minimum comfortably, exactly.
As a high schooler.
I mean, I don't even think I've, except when I was like 15, 16, had a job that was at minimum wage. There are places that will hire you at $10, $11 an hour starting out. So you just have to look around and find those jobs.
Yeah, now that's a lot more prevalent now, but like back when the recession was like 2008 with the crash, that's when I was going to school too, and it was a big decision like, oh, do I go and to college and try to get a job? Because people were going to school, graduating, and not being able to find a job. They would have to go and work a minimum wage job just because it was like tough. But like the economy now is in a good place where they have freedom to move around. So I think you should. Now, I don't agree with free college, but I agree with like job training. Say government supplied or subsidized skill training for like people in West Virginia. They need to transition to something else. I mean, coal is just not it's not in the future. I mean, it's never gonna go away, but there's gonna be better ways to get energy. So they need to start doing something else, and they know how to do stuff. I mean, they like handle really heavy machinery. They know how to read like seismic meters and all this stuff. Like that stuff can be applied to other. Yeah, it can be applied to a ton of other jobs, but there's that gap. The transition between that job to a new job, and I think they need help. And I'm not saying that like the government shouldn't provide any help at all, but like nothing that is too much that is going to affect the rest of the population.
Yeah.
I also think out of Bernie, Medicare or whatever, there needs to be something about that because medicines are just way too expensive.
Well, at least from my understanding, the reason behind that is because you have to have health care in this country, and it's not given to you by the government. You have to have it, and that's why healthcare is so expensive, because anytime you visit a doctor, hospital, anytime you get prescriptions, they will charge you out the ass because they know they can, and they know that your insurance will have to cover it.
Right.
And they're just making money off of each other back and forth while you're sitting there eating the cost.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's the thing that like they make the money out of the insurance companies. Oh, they overcharge because they know insurance companies can pay. Mm-hmm. But then the people that don't have insurance, that's when you're screwed. So, do you have insurance?
Yeah.
Do you have insurance?
Yes.
Do you guys pay for it? Like, how much do you guys pay a month?
I get it through my parents. I'm under 26.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you gonna do?
We're still young.
Like, do you know how much it is? Do you know what's
if
going on?
If I took it through my work, it would be, I believe, $80 for health insurance, $10 a month for dental, and $10 a month for vision.
Okay, that's where I'm at too now at this job that I have.
It's about $100 a month.
Yeah, but when I was at Wendy's and they started offering like health insurance to the work, like it was literally like $150 a month. It was just not sustainable. I was making like for $100. They're gonna be taking half of my half of my pay to get health insurance. So at that point, I think like it just needs to be worked out. I don't think the government should take over, but they should have. That's where I want the regulation to go. To like keep health insurance companies from raising the prices ridiculously.
Absolutely.
Or without like giving you a choice.
But mandating that you have to have a certain plan, or mandating that you have to have
I didn't agree with that.
Is what I completely disagree with.
No, it was and again, I think even like when that's Obamacare, right? That's how it was when you had to pay or whatever.
Obamacare.
Yeah,
you
and he had said,
it.
I mean, they just tried to get something passed, and they said that this is not going to work. They're going to have to tweak it and better it. And it was just such a polarizing topic that nobody was trying to fix it or make it better. They was trying to repeal it. And it's repealed now, and sure, I mean, that's fine and dandy, but like, thank God we don't have any pre-existing conditions. But say like tomorrow I find out I have, I don't know, something, cancer or whatever, like I'm fucked. I don't have the money to like get my medicine. So at that point, what should I do? Go out into the mountains and die? I don't know. I feel like that's it, you know? I mean, people that have like, that were born with things like that, I don't think we should just leave them out to die.
Don't worry, man.
We shouldn't pay for it either. But, you know, if we regulate insurance companies and drug companies, like, it wouldn't be so expensive for all those medications.
Oh, I am all for Big Pharma
Yeah.
reconstructing the system.
Yeah,
But
same.
mandating, telling me what I have to have with it, that's what I'm 100% against.
Yeah, and that, again, that's where we have to find a sweet spot. And I think the conversation has moved on from that for government. Right now, what are we arguing about? Or what are they arguing about? The wall still?
Wall.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the other thing that always keeps coming back is the Russia collusion and investigation, whatever. How do you guys feel about that, Sarah?
Mother Russia. Comrade Sarah.
Russia investigation in the 2018 election or 2016.
2016, yeah. It's been like 2 years.
Oh, it's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, shit. There
Yeah.
you go.
Well, like 2 years, 4 months or something like that. So.
So let's get real fucking technical, Dave.
Yes, let's get real fucking technical.
In 36 days and 24 hours.
36 seconds. 37.
Got a timer from when Trump became the president.
No, the reason I brought that up is because you know, I keep hearing like Republicans and everything, and we'll come back to you, Sarah. But like, the reason I was saying that was because they keep saying like, oh, it needs to end, like it's a hoax or whatever. You know how I was telling you guys I get most of my news from like YouTube and online. I have blocked about 11 channels of like just propaganda, and I've seen some for like Republicans that say like, oh, Democrat, AOC is like a communist, wants the U.S. to become whatever. It's like a 40-minute clip, and it has like a very clickbaity thumbnail. And the ones that I've blocked are from the other side. It's like, oh, Trump just made the worst speech ever. Who's gonna get impeachment imminent, or like stuff like this. Just like they're trying to like persuade you. And I'm like, why am I seeing this on my feed where I have like, again, I go to both sides. That's why I'm getting like both. But like, there are some channels that like, you know, they're trying to persuade gullible people.
Oh, yeah.
So is there interference? Yeah. From who? I don't know. So I'm fine with them like continuing the investigation. I don't think Trump's going to get impeached, but I think we should find out how people are like, or like other countries are like, getting their hand on the elections in the U.S. I don't think that should be allowed, or, you know, we should find out how they're doing it and stop it.
Yeah.
And all these people calling for it to end, it just seems like, why? I mean, it's already been going on like 2 years. Just let it finish already, and let's see what's happened.
He's been the president for over 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean, if they haven't impeached him,
No one's dead yet.
yeah, I mean, it just wouldn't happen. I mean, the Democrats are not dumb. That's why they haven't even said anything, because they know they don't have the votes. So they say they started in the House, it's not going to pass the Senate. So why even bother?
Which one do the Republicans control? The House or the Senate right now?
Senate.
Okay. I feel like it always flip-flops.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Such as politics.
talking about politics, so one of the reasons why Sarah was here, we wanted to touch up on abortion, and that's just a very polarizing topic, of course. And we didn't want to be just 3-4 dudes sitting in a room talking about abortion without having the female perspective. So we figured we asked Sarah to come in and give us her opinion. So
let's
straight
go around
up,
the table.
what do you think?
Let's talk about, give our opinions, and then we can see what you have to say.
Well, yeah, let's just say first if we're like for or against, and then we'll back up our choices. David?
All right,
For or
first of
against?
all, I have an extremely hard time putting my opinion on this one way or another. If you held a gun to my head and said, am I for or against, I would say generally against.
For me, I would say I'm not for abortion either. Like, it's just hard to say, like, oh, I'm for against. It's just like I'm for, pro-choice. I think that women should have the choice. So
I
am against with certain stipulations.
Yeah, I'd have to say that I'm against it under certain circumstances.
I mean, the circumstances that I would say, when I hear a lot of people debate abortion, I hear a lot of the people that are for, I hate saying for abortion, but pro-choice.
pro-choice, choice.
So
Because that's a bigger thing.
Because I don't think there's anybody out there that's like for abortion.
Yeah, exactly. That
but
just sounds weird.
I think the people that are pro-choice, their main arguments are that what about the people that are raped, and what about the people that put their life in danger if they do give the childbirth? And I will say that those two statistics are the reason why I do believe that there are some cases that there should be abortion. But that statistic, I know it's less than 5%. It might even be less than 1% of cases of abortions. So when I'm debating with people like that, if you can denounce, let's give it the good number, the 5%. If you can denounce the other 95% of the abortions that are just done because you don't want the kid, that nothing happened, that it was consensual, that it's not going to hurt your body, that those 95% of the abortions I don't believe in. If you can just dispute those, that those are wrong, then I will agree with you with the 5% that are rape and that will endanger the mother. But I think that, what did you expect? You had unprotected sex, or you had sex, whatever, you're going to have the baby. That is your choice. If you didn't want to get pregnant that bad, don't have sex. It's not that hard. So you already made your choice in doing that. You can't just go back on it and kill another human being because now you decided you didn't want it. That's at least my view on it.
But what about, like, all the kids, like, say the mom has the baby, but the kid just goes for adoption or whatever? Like, they're just sitting at the adoption places. That could have been stopped, like, early on.
Who's to decide that?
I think that if, like, a mom's, like, unfit, like, what if she's on drugs, or, like, it could harm the baby, make the baby have certain, like, disabilities and stuff.
That's another good one, yeah. I never think about that.
Unfit parents, like, what if they're not fit? Like,
what if they're
who's going to take
impoverished?
care of the baby?
I guess the big question would be is, where does everybody think that life begins? Do we believe that life begins at conception? As soon as the sperm fertilizes the egg and it attaches to the uterus, do we believe that that is a human life? Or do we believe that it is a human life once it comes out of the womb? Because if you believe it's when it comes out of the womb, then none of this even matters because you're not killing a human life. If you believe it's at conception, then it is a human life. And that's going to be a big debate on where you think life begins.
And, like, what's driving your hesitance about taking a life? From your religion or from your conservative views?
Both, really. More religion. That in the Bible it does say that life begins at conception. That's when life begins.
Yeah, I was just asking because a lot of the people that are completely against abortion under almost any circumstances cite their religion or their conservatism as a reason why. But some of those people are the same that call for death penalty for violent criminals. So at which point do you throw away your religion or your views to...
That's why when I gave my opinion, I did not quote the Bible. Because I do not believe in using the Bible as a standpoint in my argument.
Right.
Because if I quote the Bible and say that you don't believe in the Bible, that you're atheist, whatever.
Yeah, different religion or something.
Then whatever I'm saying doesn't matter to you at all.
Right.
So I like to give the facts. I like to give an unbiased standpoint because even though I do truly believe in my religion, it is a biased standpoint because someone else couldn't have the same beliefs as me.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be like saying that since we don't have a degree in politics, I don't think either of you guys have a degree in politics.
I got a minor.
Yeah, minor. But that'd be like somebody saying, well, you don't know anything about politics, you can't talk about this, but you don't have a degree.
I have an opinion.
It's just the argument that, well, since you don't have this, you can't talk about it. And that's why I don't like to use the Bible as it. It does drive my views, but I don't like to use that as a standpoint because you couldn't believe in that, Just like if someone quoted something from a fake religion that's saying something completely out of the blue, and you told me, well, you have to believe this because I believe it. No, I don't, because I don't believe that, and I don't want to push my views on anybody else either.
I feel like this is why I always try and relieve religion out of any political debate because, number one, people are always very staunchly on whatever religion they believe in, or if you're not religious, you can just sit there and be like, well, it doesn't matter to me, so I'm not going to listen to your opinion because, religion influences so many different things, especially on the conservative side, like you said, Hilaria, with the death penalty and everything like that. And I don't feel like I live a truly Christian life, even though I identify as Christian, to the point where I could even sit here and honestly say, like, oh yeah, abortion should be completely illegal because I'm Christian. Like, the Bible also says you shouldn't get drunk, which, if you haven't figured out yet, I really enjoy doing. So I have a very hard time sitting up here and being like, oh yeah, because of my religious opinions, you shouldn't have the right to kill your kids. Like, I'm not going to do that, but at the same time, I don't like abortion.
All sins are equal.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
And that's what, I mean, I'm not trying to get in a religious debate, but that's what it's like, all sins are equal, all sins are forgiven, at least if you believe in the Bible. And that's why no man's perfect, every man sins. And everybody has their own sin. And, like, again, not trying to get into a biblical explanation on the podcast, but one thing that I do believe in is separation of the church and the state. I don't believe that we should have the laws and regulations for our country from the Bible. Because even though, yes, I am a Christian, I don't believe that everybody in this nation has to be a Christian.
Right.
I do believe that you should be able to freely choose what you believe in, because that's what America is. It's the land of the free, home of the brave. You
Diversity
can do what
is
you
important.
want. It's the world's melting pot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's literally in the Constitution. You cannot discriminate against people because of their religion, background, or whatever. Of course, it doesn't always play like that because... And I see it mainly I guess mostly on the Republican side, that they're always like, oh, my religion or Christian and this and that. And I mean, I'm Catholic. I mean, I agree with that. I agree with all you're saying. But you're a politician. Why are you talking about the Bible? You shouldn't be mixing your beliefs of the Bible and letting that influence law. You should be looking out for the most people. I know you kind of have to when you're like believe and you follow that's how you live your life, but the issue with that comes when there's a couple Muslim representatives now that were elected this past election. So what happens when not just Muslim, let's call a new religion, whatever, so there's a majority of that religion,
Scientology,
and they want to make laws based on their religion. We're not gonna like that as Christians that believe in Christ or whatever, but like they're gonna think it's okay because it's they're following their,
and that's why I don't believe in doing that and pushing that. And that's why, like, when bringing him up again, but Donald Trump, when like around Christmas time, he would say Merry Christmas, he would say prayers on air. Mm-hmm. And that's not pushing a law saying that you have to do this, that you have to do this, but it's his personal views that I want to say a prayer for this country, and I 100% support that.
I actually read a really interesting statistic that once. I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but I believe it was something like 60 to 80% of people believed that electing a president who was an atheist would be a bad idea because they wanted someone with like some moral higher power keeping them in check, so to speak. Like, which I thought was really interesting because I know for a fact 60% of the country isn't Christian. Like, it's pretty diverse. I think the statistic last time I checked was something like 32% or something like that. But I mean, there's plenty of other religions in the country too. So it's like, if everybody agrees on that, or a majority agree on that, like I found that interesting. Just even among atheists, they still believe like, I like the idea of having somebody who sees a higher power, kind of like keeping them in check.
Because it is a moral standard. Because if you don't believe in consequences for your actions in an afterlife, then what's to say that you're not going to pass a law that's going to be like, well, I don't give a shit, when I die, I die. If you have that constant thing in the back of your mind that I need to do good, I need to have these morals, I need to live my life by example, that you're going to make better choices for the people. Because not to say that you're scared of what's going to happen, but it's inbred in your DNA. It's in you to do right. And I'm not saying that atheists are bad people, that they can't be good people.
Right, that's what I was going to say. I think you can still be a good person if you're atheist. I have a couple friends and there are some people that go to church every Sunday that are fucking Jeffrey Dahmers or whatever, fucking psychopaths. Or look at these people that like. It was funny. I was talking to one of my friends about the Crusades back in Europe, and even to this day, if you think about it, the biggest war starter has been religion since ever. And it's just kind of, it's getting to a place to where there's a ton of religions now. There's a bunch of new ones, and how can you say, no, you're wrong and I'm right? Because, who knows? and I don't know, it's just getting a little crazy, and that's why I think
it's
like
called faith.
yeah, and that's why I think like when politicians go out and try to make laws, they should like look out to benefit the life of people, and not just like
And
trying
not pushing an agenda.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's just they're appealing to the old population, and the reason why they go out there and quote the Bible or whatever is because they know old people and evangelicals are gonna like it.
Oh yeah.
And still, it's not the majority, or I mean, it is a majority. It's not more than 50%, like David says, probably, but it's still a huge part of the country.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention, there's so many different sects. I mean, you said you're Catholic, Hilario. Tyler, aren't you Catholic as well?
I was born Catholic, raised Catholic, but I've now switched over to Southern Baptist.
I was going to say, I don't like to give myself a label because I'm not familiar enough with all of them. I prefer to just call myself a Christian because there's things within the church that I do not like. For instance, some churches' persecution of homosexuals and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with that. If you want to do that in your free time, you be my guest. I don't have a problem with it. I hate how the church pushes such an against side. I understand in the Bible what it says, and I don't live that kind of life, but who am I to tell you how to live your life?
Right.
To clarify, you're talking about going to church, not the persecution of homosexuals.
I'm talking about actually like going to church
Yeah,
and hearing
okay.
it in the congregation.
Because you said that, and you said, I don't give a shit, do it on your free time.
I've
No,
been
I mean,
to,
like,
Going to church. And that's one thing that, because I used to go to church every Sunday, and recently I haven't been, and it's not because my faith has grown weaker, it's because that I can find church in whenever I'm at. I can do whatever I want, and I can talk to God, I can pray, I can do whatever, wherever I'm at, with the people I want to be with. I don't have to go to a certain building, I don't have to go and say a certain prayer, because that's a man telling you how to talk to God.
and how to interpret a book that everybody agrees with. Sarah, where are you on this? You've been awful quiet.
I am Christian. Like, I grew up in a Christian, like, family, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm Catholic. Like I said, I still consider myself Catholic. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to church.
Yeah.
Like Tyler said, do I think I'm a horrible person? No, I think I'm a good person. I try to be good in everything I do. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Do I sin a lot, like David says? Yeah, probably. And yes, for a fact, I do. I know I do.
I try my hardest not to be hypocritical because, like, even though I am Christian, I still recognize that I do things that are bad in the eyes of my religion, such as going out and partying
But
on the
even
weekends.
Catholic and Christian, it's kind of like the same thing. You still have the same, same God, but per se.
Catholicism still
There's
under the
minor
same branch
tweaks.
of Christianity. There's just
Yeah.
Protestant and Catholic.
Yeah, and I agree with what you were saying about the churches, like sometimes preaching or being very judgy. Because I've been to Christian churches, and they're literally talking crap. Like one time, I almost got up and left because they were just talking so much smack on Catholicism.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
It was insane, and I was just like, I knew the guy too, and he was just kind of like, almost like just putting it down and just kind of like making fun of it. It's like, how is this following your Christian beliefs, where you're just kind of like putting everybody together and just kind of like saying that they're just stupid, basically? Or, I mean, I think as long as you're a good person and you do good and not go out and fucking kill people or whatever, you know, like, then you're doing well.
that
I'm
was
also
when,
not trying to like talk a bunch of trash on churches. Like the church that I go to semi-regularly, they do things for homeless people all the time. You know, they do mission trips and everything. They're not bad people. I don't think the church is necessarily an evil thing. I don't have a problem with it at all. I just don't like some of the things they do and some of the ways they carry themselves because maybe my opinion is slightly different. The Bible is up for interpretation. Jesus did not write the Bible. So by that fact, I have to interpret what Jesus meant through the eyes of other people, and my interpretation of that might be different from someone else's.
exactly. And that was one of the biggest shocks from going from a Catholic church to a Christian church, that there was a lot of talk about Catholic.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
why are you worried about it?
exactly. And it was like, kind of like you said, making fun of them. And I'm like, well, I mean, I used to
Like,
go to
we
Catholic
never
church,
did that at
we're
our
not doing
church,
that.
like,
And
yeah.
they'd be talking about how they're doing all this at service. And I'm like, no.
Now, we're not saying that Catholicism is 100% perfect. I mean, look at what's going on with the priest and child molestation and whatever. And if you ask me, I'd be okay bringing back the old Catholic Church and burning those priests that were like molesting people. Like, I have no problem with that.
Mhm.
And is that okay? Probably not. But, you know, They just don't deserve to be breathing our air.
Oh, no. And as I've said, I'm not Catholic. I'm Protestant. If you want to specifically put a label on it, I go to a Presbyterian church. But I have a little medallion of St. Christopher out in my truck that I carry with me everywhere I go.
Yeah, there you go.
Whenever I bring new people into the truck, I feel like that's always a question. People ask me, like, what's this? And I'm like, that's St. Christopher. He keeps an eye on me, patron saint of travelers. My dad gave that to me when I was 16, and it is never going anywhere without me.
And I still have my rosary beads from when I was Catholic. I used to have it in my truck, and now I keep it in the console. I used to have it in the rearview mirror. And even though I'm not Catholic anymore, those beads still mean a lot to me.
Yeah, and some people don't understand that. I have a friend who is a Christian by his, I think that's what he calls a Christian. And they don't believe in having like rosary beads or medallions or anything that represents, God, because they're like, well, you're idolizing the thing.
Exactly.
It's like, no, I'm not. It's not about the thing. It's about what it represents.
Exactly.
And they don't understand that, and they don't have any like pictures or anything.
And the one thing, because I don't do the Hail Marys anymore on the beads, because that's the one thing that I have switched over from is praying to Mother Mary, because I have switched from believing to praying to Mother Mary to actually just praying to God solely. But to the whole thing that started this whole conversation was based on your religious beliefs. When does life begin? At conception or at birth? Because even in our laws nowadays, if you happen to murder a pregnant woman, whether on purpose or on accident, it is considered a double homicide when she is still pregnant. So technically in our laws today, that baby inside of her is considered life.
Mm-hmm.
But when
the
woman decides to get rid of it, it's not a homicide. So if I decide to kill a pregnant woman, that's a double homicide. But if she decides to kill the baby inside of her, it's fine. And that's where it's the kind of gray area.
Well, that's where it becomes an argument of who has a say over a woman's body.
Exactly.
Because, again, I don't know if you could tell from what I said about the priest, that I'm okay with them being burned alive. I'm okay with some people being put down. Does that mean that like I'm okay with abortions across the board? Absolutely not. But I think there shouldn't be a law that says women cannot do anything about this thing growing inside of them. Because let's be cynical. Let me just take the side of the people that are not religious, but they're just cynical. They don't care about, they recognize that the fetus is alive. I mean, it's alive as soon as, the egg meets the sperm. And I mean, it's alive. But they're saying if he cannot live on its own, then, I don't have to carry it. I don't know that that's like I'm putting out I've heard that argument. It's just kind of like doesn't make sense to me, but it's just one of the things that is out there. It's just a
bundle of cells that can't survive.
Right, exactly.
Body.
And is that okay? No, but
I just want to also add, in the event that we did somehow outlaw abortion, which for the record I don't think it's going anywhere, that would also inexplicably create
back alley abortions.
Yeah. Exactly. Coat hanger abortions. Like it always seems like a tasteless joke, but at the same time, like how quickly would that kind of become something on the, not necessarily the black market, but it would become a thing. And then that's further increasing the risk of the women who actually go out and do this because maybe they can't take care of that kid, which this is why this is such a hard topic for me to have a side on, because it's like if I remove religion from it completely, I don't see any reason it shouldn't be pro-choice. But at the same time,
even if you're, I mean, if I remove religion from mine, morally, still, like, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Would I ever say to somebody have an abortion or have myself an abortion if like I had gotten somebody pregnant in high school? That wasn't even a choice. And even my mom said, like, if that ever happens, like, don't do that. But if that ever happens, like, I'll take care of it. Like, we've had that talk with my mom. It hasn't, and, like, she didn't even say anything about religion. It was just, like, that's not okay. But I do a lot of driving in Cincinnati, and I've seen several women, like, down in what could be called the ghetto. You can visibly tell they're pregnant, and they're smoking, they're drinking, they're doing whatever. So that kid already is going to be messed up. Is that a reason to kill it?
For failure.
Yeah, is that a reason to kill it? No. But I'm saying if they would have had a choice to, I don't know. It sounds so weird to say it out loud, to have an abortion. I don't know, because like another argument from the conservative side is like, a life is a life as soon as it's conceived. But then as soon as it comes out of the woman's body, then it's like, well, it's your problem, take care of it. And like Sarah was saying, it just goes into the system. And then guess what? It's a burden on the rest of us because we have to fund it.
Well, they should be held responsible for their actions. Like, say that...
But like, how do you hold them responsible, though?
What exactly? What can you do about it? And the whole system to me is just messed up because there's two things I want to touch on. One is I completely disagree with your view on it. That yes, I do agree that there would be back alley abortions, that there would be a lot of unsafe ways to do it. But I don't believe that just because people are going to illegally do it is a reason to make it readily available. Like how they did in California with the heroin needles, the whole safe stations to where you can go. They have clean needles, clean heroin, all that shit. So where you can go and shoot up there and have a safe space to do heroin. I think that's complete bullshit. That they're just allowing these people to go and do it safely, in quotations. That's the complete wrong way to look at it. That you're just letting people do it because they can't get off on their own. You need to keep it illegal. You need to really try to help these people, but not in allowing them to make it easier. And with the whole abortion thing, that if you do believe it's a life and the woman wants the abortion and you want to make that legal, say the roles are reversed. Say that the woman wants to get the abortion, but the man doesn't. The man wants the kid, that he wants to take care of it. I mean, where does that lie? If it's the woman's body, is it her choice, or do you see that that's half of his kid too? That
well, I mean, I think by definition, it has to be half his kid. But I think it's because it's the woman's body that it shouldn't matter what the guy says. I mean, it shouldn't matter. Like, they should talk about it, but ultimately the woman's the one that's going to decide.
She has to carry it for 9 months.
So what if there was something that the woman has to get, unless in the case of rape or anything like that, or in the case that's going to harm the woman, what if the man has to sign for her to get the abortion, that she can't just go get it on her own? I've seen that be passed around too. I'm not saying I agree with that, but I've seen that idea passed around too, where the man has to agree with it.
Yeah, I mean...
Honestly, I feel like before you get involved sexually with anybody, you really should be having this kind of conversation.
Which is my fucking point at the beginning.
Have you ever been to college on a Friday night where everybody's blackout drunk and people are just horny as fuck?
I'm not saying that I'm just saying...
They're not going to be talking, hey, how did you feel about abortion before they're trying to bone? They're going to go out in a room, do their thing, and then wake up next morning, oh my God, what did I do? It's just an issue, that it can be a mistake. I understand that you made a mistake. You have to live with your consequences. I completely understand that and I agree. But it's not going to be the mother or the father living with the consequences. It's going to be the kid. Because say they're like, they want to get an abortion, they're not allowed. They're like, all right, fine, I'll have this fucking kid, and they'll just keep drinking and partying and doing their thing. The kid is born with fucking alcoholism and stuff, and just addicted. They're gonna have a horrible life. The mother gives it up for adoption, and now they don't get adopted or whatever, and they have all these issues with their immune system or their whole health because of the way their mother carried them.
Oh, not to mention who pays for those adoption centers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be a burden on us. So say the kid turns 16, 18, whatever. They get out of the system. And guess what? They go back on the streets. They go out and rob you. They go out and kill you. They go out on something. I'm not saying all the orphans do that. But I'm saying, it's
a vicious cycle that constantly repeats itself.
And it's just one of those things where, it's a dilemma. And that's why it's one of the big issues right now. Like, what can we do about it?
There's not a right or wrong answer because there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to both sides of it. There's not one final solution.
Not to mention opinion plays a huge part in this particular debate.
Right.
So, not that opinion doesn't in everything, but I mean, especially with religious ties and whatnot, that plays a huge role in where a lot of people stand. This is one of those issues where I feel like it's we're doing literally the best we can do with everything. Now that being said,
still not good enough.
Which state was it?
New York.
New York.
Late term abortion.
What they did is completely ridiculous, in my opinion.
Where you can abort the baby up until the day before you have it.
I think that's ridiculous.
But because of where the country is as a whole, I think they did it in a way to just kind of bring it up front and make it a discussion, because that's going to go to the Supreme Court and they're going to have to.
Well, I believe right after they did that, I think Texas completely outlawed them. Or one state did. It might have been Alabama. But one state completely outlawed them once New York said that you can do it up to there, just as kind of a protest to that, which might be the same thing as
Yeah,
they just
it's-
wanting to bring it to the limelight.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hopefully, I don't know. I still think it's weird to make a law that like if somebody came and made a law about a guy, like I don't know what they could be about, like, oh, something happens to you and like you can't do anything about it. Like you have to, I don't know.
Where's male birth control at?
Condoms.
Just no, I'm talking like a pill we take or something that kills sperm.
It makes more sense to unload the gun than put on a bulletproof vest.
Exactly.
Vasectomy.
Well, let's say that
You have to be 25 to get a vasectomy.
Have you looked into it?
I know this because one of the guys I work with had a vasectomy, and he's like, you have to be 25. Because I talked about getting one, because for those who don't know, I don't want kids. So, you know, I've honestly given it thought
But what
before.
if your opinion changes in the future? Like, that's why they do it. So, like, right now you might, but if you meet that one, like, you might want to have kids with him.
Yeah, this is good to know because I've never been in a relationship, so I don't know what it's like to be in love with somebody and, like, to have that opinion of, like, oh, like, I love you, I want to have a kid with you. But I honestly thought, this has been my opinion since I was about 12 maybe, probably younger than that. I've never liked the idea of kids. Whenever I go over to, like, families' houses and stuff like that, I'm like, really? I got to deal with your fucking kids? Like, I don't get any joy from them. Teenagers, yes, like my cousins and everything that are close to me in age, maybe a little bit younger. I love them because they're all snarky, sarcastic assholes like me, and I think it's fun. But, like, I've never had interest in raising a kid from birth. I don't see it as any... Everybody's always like, oh, a kid's a great miracle. And I'm like, a kid is a fucking burden on my wallet, on my life, on my time. Because it's like, they always say, it's like right now, I'm just David. But if I had a kid, I'm no longer just David. I'm a father. Like, I've got an extremely serious responsibility on my hands now.
Well, I think most responsible parents know that. Like, once you have a kid, it stops being about you. It starts being about the kid. And that's how it should be, but...
I think you would change your tune really quick. I mean, I'm not saying that, like, you wouldn't or anything like that, but I think if you, somewhere down the line, accidentally, you had a kid, I think the first time you saw it, you would change your tune 100%.
I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that I never have to go down that road, knock on wood, you know.
Yeah, well, that's why I kept telling him, if he ever finds somebody that he really loves and wants to spend the rest of his life with, she might really want kids. So at that point, welcome to relationships. You're going to do whatever she says. So sorry to tell you, but
I'm not going to be that whipped. Don't worry.
Okay, all right.
You want a fucking bet?
Yeah, we'll bring this podcast back up and we'll show you that clip. I'm not going to be that fucking...
We're going to fucking timestamp it.
Yeah.
What if we go to Charlotte, North Carolina, and you find the fucking love of your life, and you get a girl pregnant in Charlotte?
Let's fucking go to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah?
Yeah. It'll be
We'll
funny.
get you a girl in Charlotte.
That's okay with me. Why not?
All right,
Let's
cool.
do it.
All right.
I went on a really nice blind date this weekend, too.
How'd that go?
Actually went really well. I'm going on another date with her this Wednesday.
Does she want kids?
I hope not.
Have you talked about abortion yet?
Yeah,
No.
I was going to say. Maybe that's something to bring up, David.
No,
Did she subscribe yet?
No.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm assuming she or he.
She.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't ask. I didn't want to
Yeah,
assume.
don't ask, don't tell.
Oh my god. You know what? I've got my birth certificate in my truck.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Last week, you guys were
Why?
like, we're going to have to see some birth certificate and
It was
everything.
a joke, David.
Yeah, you actually brought your birth certificate. Were you just
I
fucking
actually had it
steaming
with
about
me.
that for a month or a week?
No.
It's like, I'm gonna fucking show them.
No, last Friday, or maybe 2 Fridays ago, I went to the BMV to get my license updated for Vegas, which is in 1 week. And I saw the line, and I was like, hell no. So I just haven't taken it out. I've got my Social Security card, not my driver's license, and my birth certificate out there. And there's an M in the gender spot, Tyler.
I'm not disputing that.
Multiple?
You know.
Yeah. Mangina.
So let's close out the... We gave out our opinion about the abortion
We
topic.
covered abortion, religion.
Well, no, we didn't even touch religion too much. We lightly covered it.
There's
but
something I
mean,
did want to talk about though. Right before we started, you were telling me something about R. Kelly. He went back to jail.
Yeah, he's back in jail now. There were a whole bunch of new sex tapes released with him, and it's like explicitly him. Like they know it's him with a bunch of underage girls. I don't know if he's necessarily pissing on them, but
I mean, how do you know it's him if he's not pissing on him?
I don't know. I mean, but he is back in jail.
Is he
and
just sitting there singing?
yeah.
Well, he turned himself in. I mean, he knows he was in the wrong.
Oh,
and
he's
I think it's
fucked
just,
this time. He's going to jail for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
You know how old these girls were?
I think they said like 13 to 15.
Fuck, dude. Really?
Yeah.
That's bad.
He's up shit's creek now. He's in deep shit.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be seeing a woman for a while, I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's good. But no, I was saying, in order to close out the abortion topic, say, let's play this scenario. Tomorrow we wake up and David is, he's the president for a day and he has to enact a law about abortion. David, what do you do?
I have to enact a new law?
Yeah, like you have to decide abortion in one day. This is it. Like, this is it.
Honestly,
we're just playing
dude,
a scenario. What would you do?
Honestly, dude, I'm going to keep things the same.
So do nothing?
I'm not going to do anything.
Gotcha.
I don't feel like it's my right, especially as a man.
Right.
I don't think it's in my... And I think, considering that this is political and this is for the country, and I can't put my religious opinions into it, regardless of how I feel like I'm going to have to keep it the same.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I would make it legal the first 4 weeks for anybody that wants to do it, any women that wants to do it. No questions asked. It'll be safe. It'll be whatever. And maybe it'll help. But if you go past that, you cannot do it. And if you do, you're going to jail. That's it. Tyler?
I would agree with that. I don't know if I'd put the cap on 4 weeks. Maybe 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I was thinking that because maybe they won't even know they're pregnant.
Exactly.
So,
because,
but
4 weeks, you wouldn't even miss a period yet. Or you'd be right at it.
It would
depending on
be
the
4
timeline.
weeks from your first missed period. That's when they should start.
So that wouldn't be from conception. It'd be like,
yeah.
because that could be up to 8 weeks then, depending on when everything happened.
Is it currently just... I want to throw this out there because I don't know. Is it currently 3 months? Isn't that the cap on every state except for Alabama and New York or whatever? The first trimester?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 months.
That seems like almost too much. I mean, 2 months, I think, would be absolute tops.
60 days, cut it into a third, or take 1/3 off at the time.
Don't say cut it when we're talking about abortion. But yeah, it's messed up. Sorry.
I honestly thought about that, but then I was like, if I take off like 1/3, is that really making any difference? So
A little bit. I
believe
mean,
so, yeah.
I think you're appeasing some of the people.
Morally.
But what about you, Sarah? You're in charge.
I mean, I would legalize it under like certain circumstances and for a certain period of time at first, but definitely write some rules about it.
I would also drug test.
Yeah.
Yes.
To
If you are under the influence of any illegal drugs, that you can be charged with it with endangerment of a child.
no,
If
yeah,
you go in
that's-
past the
right.
day mark. But
Yeah, because I mean, like you were saying, like people are just doing these stupid decisions and taking whatever. They're doing it because there's no negative sides to it. I mean, so what type thing.
or put a cap on it where, okay, you can only have 3. Or
Ideally, you would have to get a license in order to start having kids. But yeah, talk about political.
If we really
Hot
want to jump down
topics.
the rabbit hole one time, we'll all just crack open a 6-pack, or actually, with the 3 of us, we probably need more like 2 cases. But we could all get some beer, and then we could really talk about some. We could really get like
when the drunk podcast happens, that's when the views are going to come out.
we're really gonna get opinionated.
No, but this is good. I think it just like even having this discussion because we obviously don't agree 100%, but I think that's everybody. Nobody's going to agree 100%. But again, I think this is the views of most people now, And again, politicians are appealing right now to older people, and they're on their way out. I mean, there's no way to say it other than that. And I think it's going to be us, our generation, deciding this.
I saw another statistic too that our generation is not repopulating the population fast enough to keep up with the people that are dying.
Yeah.
That
I think that's the same thing happening in Japan. It's just because women are becoming more
independent.
Yeah, more professional. They're focusing more on their careers instead of your typical housewife. People are not getting married as early as they used to. Young families are not buying houses at the same rate as they used to. It's just priorities have changed.
Or in general, I feel like a lot of people these days aren't really getting married. That could be a good topic to cover sometime. Marriage,
Sure.
all that kind of good stuff, and divorce. We could really get into it on divorce.
Yeah.
Not specifically me and you, but I mean, like, we could dig at a grave and go out back and kill it.
All right. I don't know what that means, but tune in
Take it how you
to
want.
find out.
All right. So before we wrap things up today, though, I definitely want to touch on Vegas and Tennessee and everything like that.
Oh yeah, so Unruly culture is going on the road.
Oh,
Tyler and Sarah are going
Gatlinburg.
Tennessee.
Very cool place.
They will be posting pictures on our Instagram. If you haven't gone there and subscribed, please do. David and I posted a couple pictures of our night out last Friday. Let us know if there's other places you guys want us to check out. And David, you want to talk about Vegas?
Oh, yeah, we're very excited. We're going to be there Friday through Monday, which is actually the exact same time frame that Tyler and Sarah are going to be in Tennessee. So we're definitely going to be looking forward to that. We might put some videos together, like just some snippets we take on like Snapchat and just our cameras and whatnot. Maybe put all that together, create a little montage, something for you guys to just see us wilding out in the streets late at night or something like that, or Tyler, just chilling in his hotel room.
I will be taking pictures of David passed out if he gets that drunk.
We have
It will be documented. And yeah, we have consent on last week's episode. So
I do want to see everything before you post it.
No, that was not in the stipulations.
that wasn't on the stipulation, but
I'm
I'll
not
show
gonna get
you.
that
I'll
drunk.
still post it, but I'll show you if you
Yeah.
want. That's
I'm
fine.
just not going to get that drunk.
I know you. Yes, you are.
And no, I'm not. Not when drinks cost $25 instead of $3.
That's why you buy a bottle in the hotel room beforehand.
I mean, that's what we did last time. But the thing is, we killed the bottles each night before we went out, and I was okay.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I mean, maybe when we get back. I know you were talking about bringing little shot glass bottles.
Yeah,
Yes.
to anybody flying that wants to enjoy a cocktail on the flight, on a long flight, if you buy it on the flight, it's about $15 to $20. Too much, if you ask me. You can just go to your local grocery store, buy a single-serve bottle of rum or vodka or whatever your drink of choice is. And then if you want to mix it while you're on your flight, just ask for a Coke and then just mix it in.
You can bring that on a plane?
You can.
Yeah.
So people don't believe they can, but those bottles are not more than 3 ounces. You're allowed to bring as many 3-ounce bottles as you can fit in a 1-gallon bag, one per customer, one per passenger. So if you want to bring alcohol, you can. If you want to bring lotion, you can. It's liquid. But a lot of people think it's like against it or whatever. I was telling David it's not. I'm actually going to go out and buy some for him, for me, and
Get
for
a
my
whole
buddy.
fucking bag full.
Well, no, I mean, I have to get my shampoo and all that in too. But I mean, a couple bottles in our carry-on wouldn't be a difference.
So
are
not
you an
of each
alcoholic?
substance, in total.
Oh, in total, you can only carry one bag, one clear bag, 1-gallon bag, which doesn't hold a whole lot. I mean, it'll hold your lotion, your shampoo, your
Just
contact
fill it with
solution.
shot glasses.
Pretty much.
It's funny.
Yeah, but you can bring drinks, and you can save yourself a lot of money if you want to drink on the flight.
Yeah. But since we've talked about it so much, what are you guys looking forward to the most about Gatlinburg?
I'm looking forward to Dixie Stampede on Friday night. That's going to be fun.
The aquarium.
The aquarium on Saturday morning. And then just walking the strip in Gatlinburg is always a good time. All the different shops and everything.
So
Yeah,
we'll
go
all have
the
to take a
moonshine
vacation.
tasting.
We're talking about going to a Indian preserve, too.
Yeah, it's not in Gatlinburg. It's actually in North Carolina. But it's only an hour drive.
Sitting out on the way back up.
Yeah,
I cannot remember what the name of the national park was, but the one time that I went to Gatlinburg, we went into the we were just walking the streets and the back alleys and everything. We went to a donut shop. It was really cool, kind of hidden, but it was on the off the main street. And this old dude was telling us about hiking trails, so you can go and like see waterfalls, and people go out and picnic out there and sometimes get in the water and whatever. But right now it's gonna be really cold. But it's really cool. You drive up the mountain about an hour because of the speed limit. And we saw a couple of black bears just in the wild. We saw a bunch of like deer and whatever. And then if you get there up early enough, you'll be able to park like pretty close to a bunch of hiking trails. And there is like at the end of it, there's like a bunch of waterfalls, and it's pretty cool. It takes like a whole day. Are you just going just you two, or
Yeah, just us.
Nice. Yeah, it should be pretty nice. And
It'll be a good time.
we'll probably come back next week and they'll be married. There's a lot of little wedding chapels.
You kidding me? I'm going to come back married.
Oh, yeah, true.
Just take a picture of me blacked out at the altar.
Just happy to get the fuck out of Ohio for a weekend.
Dude, me too, man. Get away from the cold. It's going to be in the high 60s, low 70s, I believe, in Vegas. So I'm so
It's going to be
looking forward
low
to
60s to
It's gonna be
40s.
It's going to be
40s.
40 in
It's going to
Tennessee.
be cold just because of this cold front going on.
that. Dude, I'll
but-
take it. We're going to be in the clubs most of the time anyways, or the casinos and whatnot.
If you can get in with your ID.
Yeah. I'll have to post on the Instagram my ID pic. I'll just black out all the information and just show you like the side by side. Or actually, when I get my new driver's license, that'll be a fun one to do. Like show everybody how fat I am in the old picture. So it'll be good. Everybody got a look at me last week, and if you haven't seen it, you can check out the actual video of our podcast from last week on YouTube at the Unruly Culture. So
yeah, we've been trying to record a little more, and we will start recording every podcast, but right now, last week it was a test. This week we didn't have time because of everybody's going on the road. But expect the video version of the podcast to go up a couple days after the audio version.
Every once in a while. For right now, we might not be doing it too awful often once we get some better software and whatnot, which...
Yeah, we're upgrading.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. Actually, not that slowly. We've been doing this for, what, a month and a half now?
Right about.
Yeah.
And me and Jake, for our game time section, we put up our second video now. We have 2 more in the works, so go check those out. Those are getting pretty fun to record now that we know what the fuck we're doing, how to edit and everything. It's going
a work in progress. We're getting better. It's going to start getting better and better, the editing and everything.
I'm going to check it out right now, live on the podcast.
Sarah, do you have anything going on? You'd like to people to check out your personal pages or anything?
Your YouTube channel?
My old YouTube. No.
Game Time's Quest for Diamonds, Part 1.
Oh, yeah.
No, we'll be having a lot of other guests here on the podcast. We were talking about maybe having up to 4 and just kind of capping it at 4, so it's simpler for you guys to listen to. But Sarah is more than welcome to come back anytime, not just for controversial topics, but just in regular.
When we need a token female.
Tyler's just been sitting here. Yeah, we didn't have the camera on because he was telling her when to talk.
Yeah.
just hush now. Like,
that was a joke, everybody. That was a joke. I feel like I have to clarify.
Oh, God. Everybody thinks we're all like
comments.
Homicidal murderers and whatnot.
No, that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
what do you think about this, Sarah? Is
I
it
think it's
everything
pretty
you thought it would be?
I guess, yeah.
Best time of your life.
It's really interesting.
it'd be better
I'll
if you
take it.
talked more.
Yeah.
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 Get involved.
Yeah, it's our first time on the podcast. I mean, I remember the first podcast we had, David barely said a word. No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say that again, not meant as like a mean thing or anything like that, you know. But feel free to get involved and all that good stuff, you know. Maybe next time we won't cover literally nothing but controversial topics.
It's hard. I mean, to cover, like, we literally covered mainly the abortion topic, and we've gone for a little over an hour now, so it's just,
It's fun.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see why people think things and why their reasoning, you know.
It's one of my least favorite topics to cover, but also one of the ones I'm the most opinionated about because I see it from so many different angles and I have such a hard time creating such a hard opinion about it. Because when you start discussing all the pros and cons and you really let the cat out of the bag, it really gets like...
Well, that's how we're going to get somewhere. If we keep just holding on to our views and not listening to the other side, you know, we're not going to go anywhere. And there's no wrong with discussing ideas. And is it going to change the way you think? Maybe, but probably not. So, I mean, it's just okay to talk about it.
Real quick, let's just go around before we cap off this episode. Did your opinion of it change at all tonight based on what we talked about?
Not so much, because I've always thought kind of like my conclusion to where it should be allowed to a certain point, but illegal to another point.
Maybe I guess the better question would be, did you gain some better insight on maybe the other side and how they feel?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, seeing the other side. Again, this is one topic that I always talk about with my friends when I have a couple drinks, and they're probably tired of it. But it's just interesting. I like to know why people, like what other people's opinions are. So,
what about you guys? You feeling a little bit more enlightened?
I mean, my views haven't changed on it. I always like to see the other side. Always like to hear the opinions, see where their mindset's at, and be able to kind of pick it apart a little bit. But I mean, people's views really don't change, and if they do, it's going to be gradual and very slow and a little piece at a time. But, I mean, overall, I mean, it's a really good conversation. It needs to happen, but opinion hasn't changed, really.
Right.
I was going to say, my opinion didn't really change, but I feel like I gained a lot more insight on everything, you know? Like, I feel like I learned a lot.
Oh,
Me
yeah.
too.
So,
Like, I feel my opinion's still the same, but some
It's
good
like-
views.
Yeah.
I got
Still alive.
more.
Nobody died.
I feel like I was playing the most devil's advocate. Like, I was the one who's like, well...
No, it's when I tried, but I mean, I wasn't too knowledgeable about the extreme side, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
feel like
more-
everybody's like in the middle.
Yeah, I'm more like reined in about it. I don't think it should just be across the board.
Oh yeah.
You know, day before you're supposed to have the kid.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's a bit much.
Way too much.
At that point, it's like, is it even worth it? That kid's coming out of you one way or another.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean,
There's gonna be something wrong with like the person, like if you could even do that, like the day
Right.
before, like you've been.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah.
It should not be allowed.
you're like, I tell you what, yesterday I was really feeling this, but now I'm just like,
It's too late.
I'm good.
That's crazy. All right, everybody. Well, sorry for the controversial topic today, but hey, this is what life in HD is.
Hey, next week's gonna be good. You're gonna get all of the fun stories from our vacations and whatnot. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a way lighter episode, I bet. It's gonna be more stories and anecdotes and everything. So
Don't forget to check out Game Time. Me and Jake working hard on these videos. Hope you guys like it. Really
Yeah.
enjoy making it for you people.
yeah, again, go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to the Instagram if you want to see the pictures of our travels, and let us know where to go next time. And we'll probably do that. We've got to go on a road trip one time.
Oh yeah.
We'll take a Life in HD and Roller Culture on the road.
We're obviously gonna go to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh yeah. The Unruly road trip.
The Unruly road trip. Just brand everything is unruly.
You got to
No, I mean I like it on a roller.
sponsor us, Charlottesville.
Just the whole city. Jesus, that'd be awesome.
Get our fucking statues down there like Mount Rushmore.
I want to get a picture next to the sign, like "Welcome to Charlottesville." Or no, not. We've been saying Charlottesville this whole fucking time. It's Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte. Who said Charlottesville?
Me and you,
Yeah, you guys kept saying Charlottesville.
fucking idiots.
Fuck it. I never said I'm not an idiot.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Tune in next week.
Toodles.
Yeet.